Good evening. SIONIS, Chapter 1. Sweat seeped, the dropper drooling on the surface. His fingertips roamed the lit key squares and otherwise dark with the scrutiny of gray eyes, the glasses they were sliding low. His glancing confirmed the lens strip across the top of the keyboard shown in operational blue, as if not also seeing the light screen projected up from it. He refocused to the generated monitor, hands raising to swipe along it, laboring on. Elsewhere. All in position sounded her transmission, awaiting detail. His breathing mask with quartz lenses panned the chrome halls he for now walked. The grooved handle and gloved hand was clenched. From a crackle of current, out manifested the bluish razor. "I copy," he would answer. It raised when the doorway at the end of the way slid free, the elbow striking the skull of the first armed man in pale camouflage to one side. Past the threshold, the cutter plunged into the second, who shuddered onto the floor. The remaining tried aiming his automatic, but arm blocked, next finding his head cut from behind across the jaw and around his cranium. Counterclockwise force, the now unseeing, was discarded by the former. The great shutter loomed at the end of this expansion. 8 of these similar riot-outfitted bodies issued in from behind, weaponry sweeping. The slayer facing them after dislodging the phase knife out the remains. Over his shoulder, the stock was clenched to change arms, its barrel held at ease. "Purpose located," he spoke to the link. "Support. Are we secure?" he asked, viewing the transcript of these words by interior heads-up display. "Clear, Prime," her voice again answered. Prime faced the last arrival sweeping to the fore, long coat over top of tailored tactical, that sizable cannon-fitted assault gun in hands. "Stand by with your unit, killer. Perimeter team, beware all mannequins converted to attack drones remain offline. S2, 3, cover the passages." His stare kept to the latecomer, and SIONIS, the gloved palm of the addressee upraised. The fist it made indicated the grand doors and then him. The silencer walked onward first. "Very well, consultant." Joined by Prime and the Terminus, the gateway slid upward. Gun barrels led their entry. The activity upon the workstation ceased, its operator now staring. "Doctor," greeted Prime, "surrender the work." The magnanimous grin was false. Bleeding edge technology, spread palms upraised. "You see, I would love to give you everything, but I cannot seem to get anything working." Quieted before both the scopes, he showed his hands, that inched towards the other. Those spectacles slipped clear to clatter onto the waist-high desk. The doctor lowered his arms together. The trio of hard plasma slugs roared via Prime's trigger, gashing the dashboard and felling their target through the right, then higher at the collar. Prime's associate reached, arm pushing his aim awry. Advancing past the dais, the duo witnessed the flashing green of the wristwatch and the syringe of platinum liquid in an enfeebled grasp, contents plunging at his upper wound. He injected the objective, Prime lamented, closing in weapon brace. "Surrender the samples. Where?" No discernible reply, save the new green gleam of his irises. SIONIS ceased drumming the left hand upon that console, a far panel lowered with escaping air, the multiple colored vials were revealed. Prime upheld a silvery filled reinforced one, all others set in his closed carry case, its circular lights, locks, clockwise clenching. Base respond, secondary findings also secured. "Noted," scratched the distorted voice replying. The doctor dealt. Continue, Prime. The assembled flanked Prime striding through the chamber entry. SIONIS trailed off. On their current passage, in moments, all engulfed in dark, their vision tech compensating, and then reddened floodlights in tune with the blaring siren came. Elsewhere, the perimeter 10 inhaled quieter here, reserved light relieving visual wear. Clear from open end to end, the storage rectangle of drab-painted cement, spacious to their resonating steps, heralding hopeful returning normalcy. And their sharp spins to face the border walls came as one. The labor androids lining the hollow had remained inert, after the mounted wall latches have since unclasped off each. Then they wheeled back to the sudden whispers of shots fired. Opened eyes of the first automaton gleamed incandescent. Elsewhere, the shouting in the gloom of this pen hive outbid their shooting with what had seemed observation tanks and ramparts, since opened to reveal holding cells, targeting the multitude of 2 or more legged, discolored atrocities. An amphibious squatter lunged its hooks into the pair of combatants, shrieking on until the closest trio blitz, to at last perforate its sleek-skinned kin from behind slashed or bit through them. 2 of the guns remaining backpedaled, firing until armor tore. The last 3 present raced for those lockups, one halfway there, back impaled. The next, cradling injuries as able, with fervor slapped at the cell key panel from the inside, neglecting to look up until the spreading incisors slavered on top of them. The final fighter exhaled behind the shutting bars, until another was heard from back, the eyes aglow in the dark found. Elsewhere, screams reverberating into the distant corridor waned. Here, the alerted stepped under overhead gaps along the cramped hull and intermittent strobe lights. The lead man breached the red-lit hatch. Outcry renewed, the fang crawler swooping onto the gunman, armor able to contain the violence from seeping out a severed spine. The first to spy the blackened shells of others teeming through the new opening fired, slaughterers flailing past, failing armors, then flesh. The initial responder balked, witnessing his 9th platoon mate being lashed head first. The shout fell on those his rounds panned, to the latest one leaping for him. Elsewhere, fire, fire, shoot him! In that storing hall, bearing brighter swaths upon the paving now, the wetted tear by the bloody false fist in his back proceeded collapse. The last subordinate riddling the advancing pale-skinned automaton strafed, avoiding hard-fallen allies. Please calm yourself. He turned to see the gory artificial hand reach his face. In a grid lane of pipeworks, mutant bodies bled, if blood, out. Damaged lighting sputtered dim, this intact troop stepping with tact. The newest flicker revealed one falling short of survival, brutality slumped to a wall. But shearing sounds followed the shout of the next gone heard ahead. What remained was being exenterated by blackened nails, needle teeth, the attacker not human. A maw of fangs, some jutting through what should have been skin. With pitch eyes faced them. They all fired. With it disposed, a member limped to the one training her rifle onward. Killer, he called her. No responses. Prime, she summoned. Stand by. Artillery a backdrop to his voice. Dead air resumed. Until the dragging, thumping footfall repeating. The wavering bright did not reveal more of a hulking outline bearing their direction in tattering lab attire. Impact flashes lit what they shot upon, over tall to be a man. Status, nothing. A snarl inhumane resounded bass, every firearm persisting. What may have been exposed skin crackled with the same ghost green glare wafting head to heavy tread, lingering darkness coinciding with its approach. The first mortar round blast to elicit the mere flinch and yowl from the silhouetted face. Use the killer ordered while arming a seamless sphere. One ahead of her having lobbed his own grenade, a flare of crackling radiation. It threw the obscure terror one step. Her turn found the ceiling, avalanching onto the foe. She was paces away when her squadron joined the retreat. The clatter of their footsteps faded. The behemoth burst free, scattering collateral, stumbling onto a knee. The raised head bared inflamed irises pulsing with added fury. Elsewhere, Prime emptied his magazine into what had scuttled forth within the paneled intersection, reloaded to see its lupine brethren at either sides. Who is alive? A quartet staggered from out adjacent halls, another pair soon after to join. Where is The consultant rounded the bend ahead walking, handgun idle. Prime would charge, "Why did you break formation?" No answer. Every survivor had this savage bass turned them. The head's taller leviathan strode into the light, musculature in places that ought not be. What passed by shadow revealing the clung spectral gleam. The doctor, prime armed his launcher. He faced his subordinates. Execute him. Though expression spoke through 6 masks, they advanced the task. Flanking fire joined. The closest shots no more effective than now sprinting monstrosity, who did not stop after its fist smashed the first body. Elsewhere. "Killer," cried one. "Where is perimeter?" The sound of struggle, then ripping of material and body, the former speaker was downed via a triad of the pin-mouth stalkers. Their aims wavered, speeding the stainless turns now. The manual door in the ablaze intersection was open. One then emptied a clip into mere firelight. "Stop," she scolded. Other shots peeled, as had the snarl. "Do right? Ready?" Prime emerged through the threshold. They watched. "Go," he barked to the lot. "There's nothing you can do." His hand pushed the unit leader at the shoulder to the doorway. The others had not hesitated. Carver injected one of the serums. He handed Killer the attaché. "Secure this and take full report to management." "What of you?" "We let him live." Prime looked at her. "I'm going back." He pushed the exit shut. Prime proceeded to the hazy hall, the mutant colossus striding in torn wear, from feet away through fiery ruination. His rifle gained nothing past its focus. Between the flames, SIONIS had since been here firing and closing with Prime, mid-reach. On the other side, the sprinting Killer and company had reached the receiving station passage with furnishings, plant decorations and the like, taunting its normalcy, where more security grunts lay where prior slain. The situation did not permit pity or envy. "Exit," their leader encouraged, even as a shout rang. The grand blast doors in the hangar, their access to this doom was relocated. "Open this." A hand pounded its surface, lasting underly engaging its panel post-haste. Hissing, it parted slow before their murky passageway out. Every gaze averted to the animalistic wails that found them here. Rather, the shambling, supposed dispatched personnel in assorted degrees of demise. Elsewhere. Prime panned the reloaded gun, abandoning aim to tumble from the onrushing juggernaut. SIONIS was on his knee behind them, burst shooting. Prime upturned his wrist, viewing the biohazard notice. The glaring heads-up display there confirmed the red. Prime rose, bombarding the beast, or in its irritating torso to face. Next was the transformed hand seizing his left side, Prime crying out. The claws of the right reaching. The high-impact SIONIS opted loosened the hold, which became the flinging backhand until the agent intercepted the force of Prime's body before being discarded by an oncoming blow. Prime laid there, SIONIS turned to resume. It swung to batter SIONIS afar. The horror stepped, but looked back, down at its lower left, scratched by the shot blade Prime dug in. Prime's head was palmed and driven down to his shout. The visual confirmed the armor unable to re-energize, twitching in vain before the other fist. The final cry lasted long as a fragmented skull allowed. His limbs ceased, a warp howl serving commentary. And the still hand moved, grasping the large gun, SIONIS facing up from off the ground. What had been the mission was plodding from sight. With the last footfall came the baleful look back, finding the survivor. Killer sprinted along these brighter green stony channels, waters knee-deep, case clutched in hand, the other upholding her gun. Interior breaths rang, steps splashing, present seclusion enabling an echo. With a few turns and great doors, the internal monitor guiding her flickered otherwise, per a glimpse back. Nothing. reviving her sense of hope. The consulted map told of a climb from this place paces away, from the end wall reached instead. She had not yet faced what cornered her here. Killer world to the obscured light. Come on, strafing a chain of shots until the click. She faced advancing darkness. The rustling of the leather jacket was subtle, its wearer reaching the lone processing bureau within the grand and busy transport station. Tinted, angular carriers were visible on the overcast airstrips outside, humming with life. The single certified page in his hand was set down before the preoccupied receptionist, inscribed by, "You of your own volition and with every faculty consent in totality to indeterminate service to New Earth Capital Armed Forces, up to your life, to keep all peace at the discretion of commanding authority, in agreement to any and all public renowned terms and conditions." Its demarcated bottom line was authenticated with initials QQ, parentheses, CM, 1472828. Elsewhere. The gloved hand had grasped the higher passageway rung, the other continuing ascent. Gunfire peppered the outraging corridor. SIONIS evaded reach and turn, streaming rounds, the baying behemoth backing. Filtered breaths in and out. The dash followed its glare, catching and battering the agent onto the splintering opposite wall. The arm not cradling damage re-engaged the gun against the short steps. SIONIS took a knee, cannon shot impacting to collateral splash. Carver advancing still. The dry clip was since ejected. The replacement cell held. It swayed, arms sudden and clutching its upper frame. Carver lurched and fell face down. Another few handholds. The avalanche of wreckage was heard, the darkness lifting to show where it buried Carver had fallen through former flooring underneath. Alone, the standing survivor stared into the yawning pit. The hand touched to the remains of Prime, seeking the top right pocket. The fluorescent file was claimed, held before the eyes behind the mask. The survivor moved on, trekking through dank channels to the derelict maintenance tiers. SIONIS emerged and rose through the uncovered manhole onto a knee, gun upheld, rising to huddle by the near bend, settings reappraised. Old stone, dull lighting enclosed a narrow offshoot, what might have been furnishings and crawl spaces around the cellar corner. The free hand made the gesture. Static, and then update obtained. The linked responder graded the transmission, visual upload received. So, just you, SIONIS, he mused. Once again, maintain your radio silence. Do not be late. SIONIS ran forth. Rounding the wall, a hollowed cove extended left, rotting remains of cages lined. Slinking within the far side came some ravaged canine, clambering from out its depths. Sight set in an instant galloping. The crack heralded the direct energy bullet between what passed for eyes, resounding a fraction. The second turn led to a sealed ingress, the boot broke open. Skinned husks ambled from right of this zigzag sublevel, extending to a wall and grate. Scuffling feet also heard ahead in the opposite way. After a volley into their red-eyed masses, it was 6 others loping. The running boot into the sort of chin of the foremost scattered the lot from before a barred outlet. Into a dank cavernous pit, a gesture the lone pink-puckered creature made did not seem aggressive, but convivial. The left arm SIONIS propped around his jaw after the headshot, twisting to the snap. The broken fell, steps and a gate reached to crisscross onto paved hallway, with other signs of civilization. Halfway in passing 2 of 4 doorways. At the closer left, one of the multi-legged and cattle-sized metal-ridden vermin crowding the corridor was put away. The path bent to the ascending stairway. SIONIS veered right at the peak in the window of office corridor lit by night sky, occupied with another snarling sub-animal to rout. Past the portal, around the curve, was a short sterile alley, an open entry on the right end to the workspace, panes granting a view inside. SIONIS strode in, its exit across to the other side. Inert labor androids positioned to the walls set along an interior cubicle and central desk number 15. Their open eyes burned as dusk against SIONIS on a cord. Each began motioning. Rounds ripped constructed flesh as SIONIS proceeded, machine ichors spattered in gallons. The operative was in and past the next hall lobby to its threshold. The atrium here was grade archaic artistry. High mosaic arches, a statue and receiving station to the right. The higher passageway lining 3 walls beyond it. The fourth on the other side bore a shuttered doorway. New heaven, the faded central floor seal boasted. SIONIS held the spent clip. That left hand now braced the gun handle, fingers tautened. The first entrance reached across the way slid open. Under a lower ceiling, the oily fang party skittered from behind a cabin desk divider on hook 4s with jagged pull eyes, slavering until the keeling triple tap. Around that to the passage of storage doors had dwelled a trio of the same. The next entry led into an alcove, the staircase to the upper level at the wall. 6 slime-rusted, plate-skinned imps, absent eyes, nostrils, and ears, bearing dripping jaws race, smoking spurts of chemical spewed. SIONIS fired until the bending flight, even the coat untouched. A snaking lane of research suites straightened by the threshold. The lone pod that could not have been opened long contained an overlarge model drone truss shoulders to feet in leather. Gleaming false orbs opened. Its tread forth tremored. Its raised limbs swayed by a salt fire into its facade, until toppling to a clumsy kneel, collapsing onto its leaking back. Stepping in and through an archive room led to the unoccupied circumventing path, seen prior from the foyer. The scaled, squealing beast sprinted on hind legs from where SIONIS had entered here, all the way until the tasing razor edge of tempered metal stuck it through the crawl. Its grafted finger blades gouging the ground it convulsed to death upon. Left was a reception area, deliberate pace resonant, across to a duo of the similar greenish pounce from the ceiling they had crept upon. SIONIS turned for a pair of rounds into each crashing corpse. The connection was taken right, the automatic propped over shoulder to in a shot down the next bionic mutate springing from the blind side. The leftward door was passed. Footfalls wrapped wood passing one-way frames lining the right now, allowing not as dark sky in, the operative rounding a final turn. This is her broadcast reached SIONIS, Killer 6. SIONIS forged ahead, distance rumbling disregarded, until the oozing synthezoid detonated through the wall into the way. Pitched tendrils of pseudo-flesh roiled within gunshot gaps, viscous veins throbbing along exposed exterior. The pull trigger had since beat the returned obstacle from its stride. Killer 6 said, I am at checkpoint 24 in the sewers. I can't move. Worlds away. It advanced as able, reaching until the mortar blow repelled to the step, artillery pierced the forged face, another blast scattering its split skull, deconstructed asunder. Requesting assistance. I repeat, requesting assistance. The agent trod by what remained. SIONIS, Killer 6 pled. Please respond. Don't leave. Darkening eyes beheld a text reply. End with pride. The sliding entry revealed the maintenance conservatory, glass house walls, and exit due right, revealing the rooftop terrace and the ether beyond overlooking the derelict urban, sight shifting shoulder to shoulder, settling on the paneled door. The rabble of racing, crawling wretches sped and descended from behind or the left fence-off ducts. The muzzle reignited, ammunition searing and felling all aggressors by mid-leap. The sphere rolled into the continuing horde, detonated, the machine weapon picking stayers off. A final horror endeavoring still to reach SIONIS, instead wreathed to its hemorrhaging end. Day burned orange, the shut door this side of the barrier, an opaque reflection. SIONIS reached the rail. Facing the cityscape, the angular dark aircraft approached on soundless turbines, reflected in both crimson lenses. The shuttle slowed overhead. Quote unquote. Mission accomplished. Ops survival rate was 2%. with valuable personnel lost, he spoke. But war is an objective above all else. The firearm lowered in hand. And from the nondescript desk a pace from the gray walling this side of the rounded room, this cluster of silo towers was the lone blight amidst their flourishing environment. He lowered the quoted document held before his ruddy face, palms on the surface before he resumed. "Only you again survived," he wavered, without voice modification. He eyed the solitary soldier standing central from his bureau, back to the horizon streaming through the transparent upper half, above the distant jungle forest. The front, he could be persuaded, did not sway his present company's obliging routine debriefing had to suffice. Yet his audience was reporting here to his authority the small comfort. After the exhale, it must be truth. Death does not die or fail a mission, he said. You are relieved, SIONIS. Gauntleted fingertips reached the filtration mask, unclasping, a hand pulling it clear. Staring golden chestnut irises matched the flaxen lower ends of black hair spilling to the shoulders, atop the brown of her sculpted face.